Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's a bright, sunny, shine, warm May day here in Madison with the flowers and trees in bloom and the leaves coming out and the birds are singing. So I hope they're all making you happy in this time of sadness. So unfortunately, I am backwards again because Facebook has not fixed this glitch, which if I fix that to appear not mirror image, then I will be the color green, and I didn't really like that, so, and you wouldn't either. All right, so today, as you can see from my shirt, even though it's backwards, it says Yid Vicious, dedicating today's show to my klezmer band. Been with the band now, it'll be 25 years coming up in October, so kind of pretty awesome to have a group of folks that doing this for this long, even though some of the names and faces and instruments have changed. So, alrighty, I'm going to start off with a couple of reels. The first one is called Jenny Picking Cockles. Jenny shows up in a lot of Irish tunes, just like Nancy shows up in a lot of songs. In fact, tomorrow I have another song that has Nancy Whiskey. And the second one is called The Floating Crowbar. So I have two things to say about these tunes. Well, first of all, I want to say they're both in the key of D Mixolydian, which gives it a really cool modal feel to them. And then I want to say about the first one is that I was looking for an image to post about picking cockles. Of course, cockles and mussels, I've already sung that song. They're a type of shellfish that's popular in the United Kingdom. Well, as I was looking for an image of Jenny picking cockles, or a woman out in the tide flats picking cockles, I came across a story that I didn't really know anything about, which was that I think in 2004, in the northwest part of England, up north of Liverpool, in the Morecambe Bay, I think it's called, there was a horrible tragedy where 21 undocumented Chinese immigrants that had been brought there to underpay them to harvest the cockles. There was a miscommunication, and the tide came in, and they were trapped, and they drowned, and it was horrible. So Jenny Picking Cockles also has a dark side to it. The second one is called The Floating Crowbar. Also has a dark side. The story I've been told about this song, why a floating crowbar? Of course, a crowbar is made of iron, and it's very heavy, and it's a tool, but it can also be used as a weapon. So I don't remember all the details, but the way I've been told about the name of this song is that it has to do with a story that happened in rural Ireland a long time ago where there was a murder, and the murder weapon was the crowbar, and the murderer threw it into the river, but because of some kind of fairy or divine intervention, the crowbar floated to the surface and was discovered, and somehow connected it, to the murderer, and was convicted and hanged or served time or something. So the floating crowbar is part of the connection to this story here. So, all right, a couple of reels for you from Ireland: Jenny Picking Cockles and The Floating Crowbar. really fun tunes to play. Both in D Mixolydian, Jenny picking Cockles in honor of those who lost their lives in that tragedy in England in 2004, the undocumented Chinese workers and our horrible economic system that causes that kind of tragedy. And the second one, the floating crowbar. The murder weapon rose to the surface and convicted the criminal. So a happy ending, I guess. Justice, justice. All right, so next is a song that comes from Scotland. Not only does it come from Scotland, but it is attributed to Robert Burns, who of course is the national poet and icon and literary figure of Scotland. There is actually a Burns Society here in Madison and all over the world, and I think it's somewhere in January on his birthday. They have a big celebration, and they have Enter the Haggis and play bagpipes and sing songs and recite poems and make toasts. And, you know, I'm sure there's lots about wee beasties and other things. So I thought about on my very last day on Sunday doing Old Lang Syne, and we'll see. I might end up as a sort of an encore, but I do have another Robert Burns song coming up. I think in a couple days I'm doing Comin' Through the Rye, which of course everyone knows that one. This is a little more obscure. It's called Rattlin Roarin Willie, and apparently from my reading, Burns actually only wrote the third verse, and there's only 3 verses. It's a very teeny little song. It's about a fiddle player, so of course I like it. Apparently there's a real person, Willie. He was named William Dunbar and was a good friend of Robert Burns, and apparently quite the character. And in this story, there's a lot of Scottish accents or Scottish dialect. So let me just explain the story, since you might not catch it from the words. So Rattlin Roarin Willie, he's going to go to the fair and sell his fiddle, but when he realizes that parting with his fiddle brings a tear to his eye, so it blinds his eye. And then the refrain of every verse is, Rattlin Roarin Willie, you're welcome hame to me, meaning home. And then the second verse is, Willie, why don't you sell your fiddle and then you can buy a pint of wine? Sounds like a good idea. And then he says, well, if I sell my fiddle, the world would think I was mad, because many a ranting time. I've had great times with this fiddle. Why should I sell it just for a pint of wine? And then the last verse, Cockles is just a place, a pub or something in Scotland. And it says, as I came by Cockles, I cannily keek it bin, which means I sort of slyly took a peek inside. And there he was sitting at the table, the onboard inn, having a good time among good company, probably playing his fiddle, telling jokes, having drinks. So he didn't sell his fiddle. That's the moral of the story is, don't sell your fiddle. So, all right. So this particular tune goes out to my former bandmate, Bob. This appeared on our one and only Far From Home album that came out way back in 1997. And Bob sang this one. And one other cool thing about this song, besides that it's got a Robert Burns connection and talks about a fiddler, is that the tune is a slip jig, so it's in 9/8. So dum ba bum ba ba da da 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 bum ba bum ba bum, like that. So, all right, I've never played this or sang this before because Bob always did it, but I'm gonna give it a try. So. Oh, Rattlin Roarin Willie, he hied unto the fair to sell, for to say his fiddle. I'm going to sing it without the playing, sorry. Oh, Rattlin Roarin Willie, he hied unto the fair, for to say his fiddle and buy some other ware. But parting with his fiddle, a salter blamed is he. Rattlin Roarin Willie, you're welcome hame to me. Oh, Willie, come sell your fiddle, oh, come sell your fiddle, say fine. Willie, come sell your fiddle and buy a pint of wine. If I should sell my fiddle, the world would think I was mad. Many's the rent in time this fiddle and I did have. As as I come by Crackle, and I kennelly kick it bin, Rattlin Roarin Willie was sitting by on board in a manged company. Rattlin Roarin Willie, you're welcome hame to me. Rattlin Roarin Willie, he hied unto the fair, to tell to say his fiddle and buy some other ware. Parting with his fiddle, a salter blind is he. Rattlin Roarin Willie, you're welcome hame to me. All right. I just couldn't play it and sing it at the same time. It's a little tricky. But I think you'll forgive me, so. I'm having a great time doing this. I'm only going to do 4 more shows. I'm going to finish it up on Mother's Day after day 50 because I need a little break and I'm running out of material, amazingly, after I've done 100 songs and some 200 plus tunes. So, alrighty. The next one's a hornpipe. Everybody loves hornpipes. There's just something, I don't know, catchy and fun about them and just puts you in a good mood. So, this one is called the Liverpool Hornpipe. So, goes out to all the Liverpudlians. Kind of like, you know, maybe George, John, Paul, Ringo. Those guys? Yeah, sure. All right. The Liverpool Hornpipe. So I felt like it would be remiss of me not to honor the band I played with for the last almost 25 years, Yid Vicious Klezmer Ensemble. And so I wore a shirt today that's from a while back. It's a bummer that it's backwards, but Yid Vicious is actually spelled Y-I-D and V-I-C-I-O-U-S. You'd be amazed how many different spellings of vicious and viscous and whatever we've ended up on contracts or posters or various other things, so emails. So yes, Yid Vicious was founded in 1995 in October by Bob Jacobson, who still sits in with us on occasion. And at the time that we had this t-shirt made, it was a little bit different lineup. Misako Rocks, who some of you might remember, used to do illustrations for The Onion way back when The Onion was still in Madison. And she agreed for a small fee to do caricatures of us from photographs. So these pictures of the 7 members of the band, we at the time were a septet. Let's see, we have Greg on the clarinet, Dahi there on the fiddle, Kia on the French horn, Mike on the guitar, Jeff on the drums, and Bill on the stand-up bass. So thank you to Misako Rocks for this wonderful memories of these kind of silly caricatures of ourselves. It's been a great ride with Yid Vicious. We've gotten to travel to Japan, Argentina, New York, South Dakota, Michigan, Chicago, lots of other places. So shout out to my friend Jeff, who was an inspiration for Yid Vicious because he played in the klezmer band with Bob back in Chicago called Schlenka, which was sort of the predecessor to Yid Vicious in a sense. So what's the connection between klezmer and Irish music? Well, Greg likes to tell kind of a bad dad joke that what song do you play when you're at a Irish Catholic Jewish wedding? Well, of course, Oy Vey Maria. Groan. All right. Let's see. The current members that aren't on this shirt, I'll just give a shout out to Dave Spees on the tuba. And then Matt Appleby is back on bass after an absence. He was one of the founding members. There's only 2 of us left, Matt and I. And then let's see, am I forgetting anyone? Well, we have our singer Anna Purnell. And of course, we've had lots of great former members and guests and subs. Christina up in Canada and Dave Austin, who we miss dearly on the trumpet. And lots of other great folks. So thank you, Yid Vicious. All right, it's time for another song, and here's a connection between Irish music and Yid Vicious. So several years ago, we recorded a CD for our friend Maggie, who often sits in as a singer with Yid Vicious, and you can't read it because it's backwards, but it's called Go to Sleep, You Tiny Beast, Locally Sourced Lullabies. And it was a surprise for her on the birth of her daughter, Frances. Many folks from around the community contributed songs. Bob Jacobson, the founder of Yid Vicious, wrote the song Go to Sleep, You Tiny Beast for his kids, Isabel and Abner. I recorded with Yid Vicious a song on here called John O' Dreams, which is the next thing I'm going to do. John O' Dreams has a kind of a funny history to it. I may just sing it first and then tell you all the details, but I'll just tell you one thing. It has a connection to Tchaikovsky, and many people in Ireland think it is a traditional Irish lullaby, when in fact it was written the words were written by an Englishman named Bill Caddick. So I also recorded this a couple times with Hootenanny, and we made an album lullabies as well, and so I've recorded it a couple times, and I love doing it. It's one of my favorite songs. It's a great lullaby called John O' Dreams by Bill Caddick, from a melody from Tchaikovsky. Midnight sings, good people, homeward tread. Seek now your blankets and your feather beds. Home is the rover, his journey over. Yield up the nighttime to old John O' Dreams. Yield up the nighttime to old John O' Dreams. Across the hills the sun has gone astray. Tomorrow's cares are many dreams away. Your candle's dying, are flying. Yield up the darkness to old John a Dreams. Yield up the darkness to old John a Dreams. Both man and master in the night are one. All things are equal when the day is done. The prince and plowman, the slave and free man, all find their comfort in old John a Dreams. All find their comfort in old John a Dreams. As you sleep, the dreams come winging clear. The hawks of morning cannot find you here. Sleep is your river, float on forever. And for your boatman, choose old John a Dreams. And for your boatman, choose old John a Dreams. And for your boatman, choose old John a Dreams. It's a beautiful lullaby. Hopefully it's calming and peaceful. So what's the connection to Tchaikovsky? Well, my parents had this record. I have not been able to find the sleeve or the, the other stuff. So, and I'm not planning to listen to it again. So, not, handling it very well. But this is Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony. And in the first movement, the second theme is exactly what I just played on that song. Da, 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 da. Tchaikovsky often used, like many other composers in Europe and in America, like Copland, Bartok, also Stravinsky. Everybody used folk melodies or traditional songs, and as best anybody can figure out, the melody actually that Tchaikovsky used came from an Italian folk song. Some people say a Russian folk song. So it comes full circle. A folk song, old folk song from a tradition, becomes part of a famous symphony. A musician hears it, uses the melody again, writes new words, and then eventually you go to Ireland and people say, oh, that's a traditional Irish lullaby. It's been around for hundreds of years. So that's kind of how it works. So, all right, what a great song. So what am I doing next here? So just want to say Bill Caddick, the Englishman who wrote the words, he passed away in 2018. So thank you, Bill Caddick, for John O'Dreams. All right, only have time for one more, and it's going to be a lively polka to end the day. And I found, when I was looking for some albums, I found this one. And unfortunately, like I said, everything is backwards today because of a Facebook glitch. But there's a picture of a fiddler, and he's got a drink in his hand, and he looks like he's ready to play some tunes. It's an album called Kerry Fiddles, Kerry, from County Kerry. Music from Slieve Lucra, and I talked about Slieve Lucra yesterday. It's called the Rushy Mountains. It's on the border between Kerry and Cork, and it's where all the great polkas and slides came from, or as in Ireland they called them slides. So, all right, so this is an album that had Padraig O'Keefe. I've already played one of his polkas. Dennis Murphy, I played one of his polkas, and Julia Clifford, all fiddle players. All right, so this is going to finish off the day. It's called the Kerry Polka. play those polkas really fast, and the dancers love it. They were like, faster, faster, and they wear these hard shoes, and they're on a hard wooden floor, and it's just a cacophony of laughter and music and dancing that happens down there in the Sleeve Lucra region of Kerry. So the Kerry polka, my last one for the day. And like I said, today I'm giving a big shout out to my bandmates on Yidvicious, and coming up on celebrating 25 years together, 5 CDs, travels all over, numerous weddings, bar mitzvahs, clam bakes, and anarchist picnics, and music festivals, and hoping to be at the Willie Street Fair for the umpteenth year in a row on the culture stage coming up in September. So thanks, everybody. Oh, Jeff is reminding me that I forgot to introduce Melissa, one of the former members of the band. Oh, she's way over here, so I couldn't see her. Our former saxophone player. Thank you, Jeff, for that reminder. And there's lots of people I've forgotten. I'm sorry I can't mention everybody. You know, Annie and Dave and, gosh, Mr. Shiny. We've had a lot of great times over the years. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. It'll be day 47. There's only 4 days left. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to finish up on Mother's Day with show number 50. All right, take care. Love y'all.